quick review of x-intercept and y-intercept of a line. I know that my x-intercept is the point where my line crosses the x-axis. So if we have our coordinate plane, we know that our x-axis is our horizontal axis running left and right. This is our x-axis. And our y-axis is our vertical axis running up and down. And let's say we have this pretend line. Well, my x-intercept is going to happen right here where my line is intersecting the x-axis. Notice that where my line crosses the x-axis, I have not gone up or down the y-axis at all. Instead, I'm right on the x-axis, which means that my y is 0. I've not gone up or down at all. I'm just on the x-axis. So my x-intercept always occurs where y is 0. On the other hand, my y-intercept occurs right here where my line crosses the y-axis. So where the line crosses the y-axis, that's my y-intercept. And I have not moved left or right along the x-axis. Instead, I'm just sitting on the y-axis where x is equal to 0. So when my y-intercept occurs, x is equal to 0. Very important. X-intercept occurs when y is 0. Y-intercept occurs when x is 0. Let's look at a graph. Here, our line is crossing my x-axis at this point and crossing my y-axis at this point. Our line crosses our x-axis at 4, 0, because I've moved 4 spaces to the right, and I have not moved up or down that y-axis. So my x-intercept occurs at 4, 0, making my x-intercept 4. My y-intercept occurs at 0, 2. I have not moved left or right along the x-axis. I've simply moved up 2 spaces on my y-axis, which means my y-intercept is 2, occurring at 2, 0. Notice that for my y-intercept, x is 0. For my x-intercept, y is 0. What if I'm given an equation? Let's look at this equation right here. I have negative 2x plus y equals negative 4. And I'm told to find the x and y intercepts. Well, we've just discovered that for my x-intercept, y is 0. So all I need to do is plug in 0 for y, and I can figure out where my line crosses that x-axis. If I plug in 0 for y, I have negative 2x plus 0 equals negative 4. Notice all I did was plug in 0 for y. Where y is in my equation, I now have a 0, which leaves me with negative 2x equals negative 4. And if I divide both sides by negative 2 to solve for x, I get x equals 2. And I know that my x-intercept occurs at 0.20. Now what about my y-intercept? Well, if my x-intercept occurs where y is 0, my y-intercept occurs where x is 0. So this time I need to plug in 0 where x is. So notice instead of negative 2x, I now have negative 2 times 0. If I solve this, it leaves me with y equals negative 4. My y-intercept occurs at 0.0, negative 4, making my y-intercept negative 4. What if we want to graph this? So I have the equation negative 2x plus y equals negative 4. I can use just the x and y intercept to graph my equation. Because notice I have 2 points now. I have the point where my x-intercept occurs, the point of my y-intercept. And if I graph these 2 points, my graph should look like this. Here's 2, 0, 0, -4. Connect my ordered pairs, my plotted points with a line, and our equation -2x plus y equals -4 has a graph that looks like this.